I remember, as a child, outside in the woods, mud on my feet, lifting stones and leaves in the damp looking for that flash of red or orange, the newt. I remember my whole being filled with delight and awe and joy as I found one of these wriggling wonders. Was I fast enough to catch it without hurting it? Would it make it back to the safety of the thick, dark dirt? And once I had it, I would hold it in my palm, study its shiny, bright hide, flecked with gold and iridescence against the deep sunset color of its skin. I would stare into its beady black eyes and try to think my love for it into its tiny little brain. And as it stilled and became calm in my hand, I would imagine that it heard that love and accepted it. I would let it go again after a moment and tuck it back into the hiding place it had come from. I was filled with wonder and discovery. Few games are able to provoke that emotion as consistently as I've found Minecraft to do so. There's something about starting that new world, loading in, holding your breath, for that moment of where will I be to wash over you? Then the moment of either delight, disappointment, or merely the apathetic, it's okay. Any one of these three might cause you to immediately back out, delete that save, try again with another world. There were some days that I started dozens of new worlds in a row, looking for that one magical world spawn spot. And when I found it, the delight, the exploration, that moment of wandering around a riverbend or climbing over a mountain peak to a view that you couldn't have imagined in your prettiest of dreams. There is wonder, the joy, the discovery, all laid out in blocks of Technicolor data for our inner child to delight for our inner child to craft a story to. One of the things I like to do is craft a story. Why is my character here? What is the drive for this playthrough? Am I creating a mini world where I myself can run away to? Or am I crafting a narrative that has its own rules and regulations to give me a handcrafted model of an internal RPG goodness? What about all the tools in the community that have been created to help drive those stories? I have a world where I have mods attached to bring Herobrine into the game, where I pretend I'm transported mysteriously to this new world after some terrible event that has wiped my memory. But I am somehow haunted by this creature from a past just out of reach. Do I try to communicate with them? Help them find peace? Find my own peace? As their efforts to affect me grow throughout the game, am I hunted? Am I haunted? The story is building itself. Then there's the other world I've crafted with the mod Biomes Aplenty attached, where I am an outcast wizard living in a magical forest, trying to heal the dead forest of an ancient battle that left it bereft, while also trying to oversee and redevelop the village that had been trapped in the ruins of this old magical war. I'm besieged by witches, I have an army of blue fairies, and a tower built from the ruins of some old knight's forgotten castle. One of my oldest worlds started on an island covered in a zombie village, forgotten by some far-off tidal event. As its new proprietor, I have slowly rebuilt the village, brought villagers back in, and have begun its expansion into a city as the population continues to grow. Building walls around the entire thing to stop the ocean the next time it comes to threaten our tiny island. And its chronicles are laid out in books I've crafted and written in stories that are mine to tell and rewrite and discover. I have a castle over a pirate village. I have a dark and ominous tower over an end portal ready to bring my troops over the land to conquer all. I have a small vacation house at the edge of a jungle with a tiled pool and a diving board, a tree house, and a hot tub. You know, for when I just need to kick back and have a break. I have worlds upon worlds upon worlds and stories upon stories because my imagination is endless and intimately mine. I have watched and loved and understood the videos from gamers and creators about their forever worlds. I do see the charm and desire for one world that's continuous. We strive for continuity, for the safety of the familiar. And Minecraft is a game that, even in one world, it's so rich and varied that you could stay in that one world, move somewhere far away and start over to eventually find the builds of yesteryear from the past, from the first time you ever built them. It's like the nostalgia of finding old friends. I look at all my worlds and I wonder, are you that world? Could I stay here for the rest of the game? And while I see the appeal, there are other factors I have to consider. Minecraft can become a gigantic game. The longer I play on one world, the farther I stretch out onto that world, the larger the world becomes. So, recently, I downloaded a backup of the SMP server I play on with friends, just so that, we could have that testing world. We haven't really been on the world long, a couple of months now, and while we've built a fair many things, it isn't nearly as large as some of the worlds I've encountered, yet the file size was still a couple of gigs large. And there's other worlds that you can download. For example, if anyone has ever downloaded any of the Hermitcraft worlds, the size of that file is also quite large. And the larger the world, the more my computer has to load it, the more lag my computer will add to the game. The practicality of a forever world is something I have to consider. I don't have a top-of-the-line system. I don't have the money for that. I have limited space, limited resources, and I'm always playing slot for storage with many of my games. With a forever world, a world that I inevitably would become attached to, there would be a point where I would have built enough, explored enough, and grown the file enough that the lag in space and speed issues would become more and more pronounced. And the thought of giving up a world I have so heavily invested into because my computer just can't take it, I don't like the thought of that. And frankly, I like the ability for choice. Some days, I'm just not in the mood to work on this project or that project. Some days I don't want to have that big grand adventure and the complicated setups. Some days I don't want to deal with enchanting and potions and dragons and dungeons. Some days, I just want to start something new. Feel myself load into a brand new world and punch a tree. Some days, I just want to punch a tree. There is simplicity in new beginnings. Some days we just don't have the wherewithal to deal with all the things we've done and all the things we want to do. Some days we just want to start simple, start small. Start. There's nothing wrong with small. There's nothing wrong with starting. There's nothing wrong with simplicity. There's nothing wrong with easy mode. We need easy mode. We need rest. We need simple. We need these things to offset the complexity of life, the worries of day to day. We need a break and a new world, fresh and untouched, unbothered by a past or future. We need to punch a tree. Sometimes it's the break we need. We can have forever worlds, not just one world, but many, many worlds. We can have an endless supply of choice and flavor, of wonder and awe. We can style ourselves peacekeepers and conquerors, witches and wizards. We can be the war-torn knight come home to rest and retire from our adventures to a life of farming or fishing, weaving or building. We can collect trees from around the world, create a menagerie of creatures. We can do whatever and whenever and whichever we like. I can craft and I can mine. I can delete dozens of worlds and create a dozen more. Because it's mine. The mine in Minecraft is just that. Mine. So if you have a forever world, I celebrate. I love that world and that you have that world. I love that consistency and the idea for one grand story. If you do not have a forever world, I celebrate you too. I love your starts and stops of adventure, your variety, your desire for that beginning. And if you're like me, with dozens of small forever worlds that you'll never delete, but maybe not really play in past the occasional visit to remember the adventures, or spend time switching between them to slowly grow your stories, let's celebrate together. Let's just play and be joyful. And remember the wonder that we found again. Thank you for watching.